Fellow film fans, what up? It's your boy Tay Talks Talkies and Let's Talk Film. So I saw 28 Years Later last week and I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about how brilliant of a script Alex Garland wrote. And of course, Danny Boyle brought it to screen. He realized it with such beauty. This team is incredible, and 23 years after they made 28 Days Later, 28 years later really lived up to the expectations. Legacy sequels, a lot of times, aren't that good. But when you have the same creators at the helm and they're still in their prime, maybe even better than they were back then, well, you get a product that's high quality. And we saw that with 28 Years Later. Now, the thing that I want to discuss in this video is there are two parallels from 28 Days Later and 28 Years Later that I absolutely want to discuss because I kept thinking, and then I had a eureka moment where I'm like, oh my God, the parallels are just so poetic and beautiful that I need to discuss it on the channel. And that is, there is a theme in these movies of the outbreak bringing out the best and the worst in humans. So with some humans, we see it really bring out their heroic characters, their altruistic characters. We see them become better people because of the outbreak. And the characters that I think of when I think of that are Frank, which was portrayed brilliantly by Brendan Gleeson in 28 Days Later. And then we see that also in 28 Years Later with Dr. Kelson, played again brilliantly by Ray Fiennes. So not only is there a connection with these are just two of the finest British actors of all time, and they played these characters brilliantly, but we also see the correlation between these are two guys that the outbreak actually brought the best of them out. We see Frank, who's a father. He's a guy that has a lot of hope for the future. He's very, very loving to his daughter. He wants to grab other people and go find this military group that is broadcasting. He has a lot of optimism and he's heroic. He tries to protect the people he's with and he's caring. He is a guy that's not going to leave people behind just to try to survive. He wants to try to help. And we see that with Dr. Kelson as well. Dr. Kelson is a guy that really cares about people, not only the uninfected, but the infected as well. He has an opportunity to kill an alpha, and instead of killing the alpha, he just tranquilizes it and allows it to keep living because for him, it's still a person. He doesn't just see it as subhuman, he sees it as a person still. And a lot of it is a scientific type of mind for Dr. Kelson that he just wants to maybe examine and observe and see the behaviors, but also with the Bone Temple and his beautiful words to Spike and Spike's mother, Isla, we find out that he's somebody very compassionate, somebody who cares, somebody who wants to help. He wants to help Spike. He wants to help Isla, and he cares. And we see that with these two characters, and then we see the worst in humanity get brought out. And it's written so well because we understand how it got brought out. It's not like these guys are just pure evil and they just want to hurt people just for the sake of it because they're just born evil. We see what can make a person like this, and that's Major Henry West from 28 Days Later, and then that's Jimmy Crystal from 28 Years Later. So Major Henry West, he has his military little group and they have a stronghold. They're posted up and they are broadcasting because they want to help survivors. But really what they're doing is they're trying to lure women there so that the men that he has under him can have a future. They are going to, whether the women allow it or not, they're going to procreate with the women and create a future. And we can see why Major West is doing this. It's not right. It's horrible. But you can understand he's trying to promise his soldiers some sort of thing to look forward to so that they don't give up on life. They don't turn on each other. He's trying to figure out a way, but it's super evil. He wants to essentially take a young girl because Frank's daughter is very young at this point, and just allow the troops to get her pregnant. And it's really evil. But we see how it can happen. And it's so brilliantly written by Alex Garland. One of the best writers in all of Hollywood, for sure, in my opinion. He is a fantastic writer because of these little nuances that he imbues into his stories. And then we see it with Jimmy Crystal. We see what happens to Jimmy. I mean, imagine how traumatic. When you're a child, especially around Jimmy's age, he looked like he was probably 6, 7 in the beginning of 28 Years Later. You're so impressionable. The littlest little situation can make a major imprint on who you are as an adult. I think about things that happened to me when I was 6 or 7, and they're so silly, like stuff that happened at a birthday party or school, nothing crazy. But I think about how it could have affected me and made me who I am, even though it wasn't anything life or death, the way that Jimmy watches. It's never really made clear, but most likely they were friends and family of his. These little kids get slaughtered in front of him. And not only that, but we see his mom get slaughtered in front of him. Another woman who's maybe his aunt or a cousin or just a woman that he just knows. I mean, the worst things you could ever witness as a child, Jimmy is exposed to it. And then his father, he watches his father, who is an absolutely insane devout Catholic. He just completely gives in to being eaten alive by the infected because I guess he is interpreting it as the rapture. But he like maniacally is just laughing for joy as he's getting eaten alive, as little Jimmy's watching now his father get eaten alive by the infected. And you can see how a person can get contorted and made to be really deviant from something so horrible being observed at such a young age. And then 28 years go by and he's still alive. Not only that, but he is seemingly thriving. He's got his own little cult. They've got some cool tracksuits. And it seems like it's setting up for him to be a very, very, very bad guy. A guy that is going to illuminate how evil humans can become in these really hard times. Because Danny Boyle on record has said the next movie is going to be about the evil of man. And Jimmy obviously being set up at the end as the main pseudo protagonist for the next movie. Really, he's going to be an antagonist. It makes all the sense in the world that he's going to be the bad guy. He's going to be the Major Henry West of the sequel, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. And I just thought it was a fascinating parallel that Alex Garland wrote that original movie to have Frank like the example of all things altruistic in humanity. He knows he's getting turned, so he tells his daughter, even though it's the hardest thing he could ever say, to get away from him, leave him. He's constantly trying to protect Jim. He's a guy that is the example of the best being brought out of us in hard times. And then we have Major West, who is the example of the worst being brought out of us in hard times. And then we fast forward to this new movie and the parallels between Dr. Kelson and Jimmy Crystal. And I'm super excited to see where they take it in the next movie with Jimmy. But the writing's on the wall with him etching his name into the flesh of somebody that seemingly was not even infected, but was hung up to become infected and eaten. And leaders of cults famously are never great guys. And he's dressed like Jimmy Savile, who is famously a very horrible guy from the UK. And it just all these things are clearly painting Jimmy to be the horrible guy that we're suspecting him to be. Even the way at the end he says, "Let's be pals" to Spike. It's so ominous and so threatening in a very subtle way. I am really excited to see where they take that character. But that's what I got for you guys. That's the correlation I'm seeing, and I just keep thinking more and more about these movies and how brilliantly they are written. Just absolutely peak writing in a era of movies that we get really horrible writing. So savor these types of moments. Definitely go see the movie if you haven't seen it yet. And that's all I got for you guys. Subscribe to my channel. I promise you, Take Talks Talkies, if you love movies, is the channel for you. And I guarantee that I'm going to keep pumping out great content for you guys. And I appreciate every single one of you. That little subscribe click means more to me than anything you could ever know. And even a little comment, a little like, any little thing means the world to me. And that's all I got for you guys. Tay out.